Hello, Cy Fisher here with Windermere Real Estate South Whidbey with another tech training tutorial. Today we're going to be working in Present, Moxi Present, which is our presentation tool here at Windermere. And we're going to be going over how to create a basic seller CMA. Very powerful tool, very simple to use, and makes you look leagues better than your competition. With your professional presentation. So let's get right into it. It's my first video on Present, so I'll just kind of go over how you would get into it in case it's been a while. You want to go to windermerehub.com and log in. I'm already logged in at this point. I like to keep it as a bookmark up here. So click on my bookmark, log in. From here, you're going to go to the work site. There's an icon right here you can use to navigate there. I'm going to click that, which will open up a separate tab. And here we are at the work site. This is where I'm going to access all of my Moxi Works tools. We have Engage, Present, Impress, my website. So today we're working in Present. I'll go ahead and open that up by clicking there. Give it a second to open up. And here we are at the Present dashboard. So you can see here I have some presentations I've already made. We can get right into what we're trying to accomplish today, which is the creation of a brand new seller CMA. So over here on the right, I'm going to click the Create New button. It'll bring this up where you can select the type of presentation that you're wanting to create. So you could make a buyer presentation that's a CMA, or maybe just a, various different types of buyer presentations you may want to create. Seller CMA. You can create a buyer tour where you map out some listings you're going to show your buyer that day, and you can provide some information about those listings prior to you guys actually going on tour. You can also create a non-listing presentation. You could create a presentation where you're just doing a market update, showcasing some listings that are on the market. Maybe they're your listings that you're wanting to promote. So you got a couple different options here. We're going to select Seller CMA today, and then go ahead and press Continue. So right here, you're going to be able to select a template if you would like, and I highly recommend doing that. I have a template I've saved here, which I'm not going to be using today, and it is nice to save your own templates. We'll get into doing that. I'll show you how to do that today, but for now, we're going to go over to the Brokerage Templates tab. Excuse me. So here's all the templates that are shared with you via your brokerage. And right here at the top is the one we're going to be using, Seller CMA. You can click this down arrow right here and already see what pages are inside of this template. Say, for example, you want to check out Premier Marketing in CMA. You can open up and see what pages are in here. And it's got some included luxury branding PDFs that are included in that one. So today we're just going to do the basic one. So I'll select that. Go down here and hit Continue. Prepared for seller person. That's who we're preparing it for today. Obviously, we're going to be selecting Northwest MLS. That's the MLS we use over here in South Whidbey. So let's go ahead and hit Create. Takes a second. It's going to populate all of the slides from the template. Pretty cool. So right here, this is very useful if there's been a prior listing of the property that you're creating the CMA for. So if you had the property on the market, if the property was on the market prior to now when you're getting ready to list it, it's great because you can just bring over that information from the old listing. And you just use that feature here by entering in the MLS number. Very cool. So now I have all that information about the property from the prior listing of it, including the remarks. But here, you may want to change the marketing remarks to what you're going to be using when you list the home. And obviously, you're going to change any other details that need to be changed to update the information for the new listing that you're hopefully going to be listing yourself. And I would always verify all this information. Don't just take it for granted and assume that it's correct because it was on the MLS prior. Oftentimes you'll find some errors or things have changed. So definitely verify all this information, edit it to how you need it for your listing and client. So once you're done with that, you're going to go down to the bottom right and hit continue. Next, you're going to search for your comps. So it's going to auto-populate the address here for the property that I'm creating the CMA for. I don't want that. I'm going to use different criteria to search. Now, personally, I actually prefer using matrix to find my comps. So I don't find my comps here using the search functions within present because I have different options within matrix, which is handy. And once I do that, I'll just select MLS numbers, and then I'll put those numbers directly in here. You can separate them with a comma, and you can just import them all into present just using the MLS numbers. Now, if you prefer searching within present, we'll go ahead and go back to location. Instead of that, I'll just type in Whidbey Island. If I can type, all right, perfect. So now it's going to select all of Whidbey Island. This is a very expensive listing we're doing a comp for. So I'm going to select 3 million plus. Ladybug, my dog's being crazy. Please, can you be quiet? All right. Hopefully you guys aren't hearing that. All right. So now we have all properties that are priced at 3 million or above, which is not a lot. So let's change that to 2 million or above. And I'm going to actually go into my filters, and I'm going to select reset filters. What it's done is actually when it auto-populated with my property, it already selected all the things that were specific to it. So we don't want the criteria to be this narrow, and that's why no options are popping up for listings based on my current criteria, because all this stuff is in here. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to select reset filters to, oh yeah, it's a drop down, it's a menu. So select it, and then you're going to select two defaults. If you want to select your property, your subject property values and go back to that, you can. So you can just modify it based on the values that are there. For this example, we're just going to go back to defaults. Now, let's segment that out a little bit higher how I wanted. Let's try 3 million again for the minimum price and apply that. Now we should have some listings. All right, perfect. So now that you have listings in here, and like I said, you can use the search function in here, or you can just put in the MLS numbers once you find your comps within matrix, which is what I prefer. Once you have them here, you just select the plus icon to include them in your CMA. Not going to take a lot of time. You guys are going to sort your comps how you want them. For this example, we're just going to select these, all of them here, and then we'll go down to the bottom and click continue in the lower right. All right, so here is our overview of the comps we've selected, and you'll want to take a look at various things you can do here. One of the things you can do is you can sort. Right now it's sorted by high to low, so it's in that specific order, which may be valuable for how you want to explain the comps you selected, but it's going to separate ones that are active and then interject ones that are sold. I personally like to search by active to sold, so that I can go over all of my actives that I've selected, any pendings that I've selected, and then down to sold listings and possibly other. There's been canceled listings. So that's cool. You can do it that way. Another way you can edit the presentation order is you can just click on this little pen icon right here in the middle of the page, and you can change the display order to exactly how you want it. Say you actually want to go in reverse order to what we have here. I want to go sold and then pending and then address active at the end, so that we can talk about what our current competition is. So I could change it to that if you prefer. So now it's in the order that you want. You see your listing summary over here. You can see by category. So out of the comps we've selected, sold, you can see low, average, and high by price. Out of the active comp, so what's our current competition, you can see low, average, high. Pretty cool. So this is how I would like to have it right now. And I'm going to go ahead down to the lower right hand and hit continue. The next page that we're going to get to is where we're going to actually put in our estimated pricing. You can actually do a range or you can do a specific price. So on the left hand, it's going to give you some information about the comps you selected again. So price based on average sales. And there it is, that number, price based on square footage. If that's of use to you, you could use that number to kind of inform your decision. So at this point, you'll want to put in the range you've selected. For the example, I'm just going to leave it for what it's already populated as, which was, I think, the price that the property sold for already in the past. Down here in remarks is where you're going to put your information about all the comps you selected. This is where you're going to put your analysis. Okay, yeah, can't spell at all. All right, my analysis today. So oftentimes when I'm doing this, I actually like to address every single comp in the order that I put them in. So I'll put, blah, 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 number one comp, the address, the stats about it, and then how I think it relates to my subject property. You can do this in any way. You could write, a full paragraph of just your overall feeling about the market and, inform it with some details from different comps, whatever you prefer. But here's where you're going to want to put your full analysis. Now, on this page, you can also go up to these tabs here on the top and select the second tab if you're wanting to include a net proceeds sheet for your client. Here, you can put in all the information that you have for that net sheet, and it's going to give your client the detailed information about, how much they should receive at the end of closing. If you want to provide a couple different scenarios, say you selected a price range, you can actually create more than one net sheet by clicking the copy button right here on the right-hand side. If you click that, you're going to be able to put in a second scenario with different information and create more than one net seller sheet. So that's that whole section. Once you have that how you want, we'll go ahead and press continue down here on the bottom right again. Now, this is the most important part, I should say, probably, because this is how you're going to organize your entire presentation and determine what you want to have in it and what is not necessarily necessary for this presentation. So at the top, we have cover page. That's typically what you're going to want. I personally like to have my agent profile, which is, your short bio and information right below the cover page. Some people want to get directly into the CMA. It's really up to you, preference at this point. I'll go through the slides that are automatically here real quick. Next, you have the property summary, and that's the information that you put in or pulled directly from NWMLS. You can change the agent remarks too. It doesn't have to be what you're going to put for the listing or what was on the previous listing. You can actually put some analysis information about the property here if you prefer. So you can change that to whatever you'd like. Listing location map. I like to keep this in the presentation. It shows where all the comps you've selected are on the map, which is pretty useful. This button here in the middle allows you to move the map where you want it. And then you can lock it again. Once you lock it, you can't move the map. You can zoom in and out. So that's good to know how to do. When you send the presentation, if it's the live web-based version, your client's going to be able to click on any of the listings, the subject property, any of the comparables is going to bring up all of the information that's in Numels about that property. So pretty cool. It's an interactive presentation that updates in real time. So say you have an active listing that you included as one of your comps and it goes pending tomorrow. Well, if they're looking at your presentation tomorrow, it's going to show that listing as pending. So you may want to let your clients know that, especially if you're referencing it as active in your analysis, that this is this presentation's updated in real time, so it could change by the time they're actually viewing it. Next slide is listing overview. So this is basically just, an overview of all of your listings. I personally don't know if this is needed because I have the listing location map, which allows them to select the comp on the top and view it. Also down here, we have side-by-side comparisons, which is one I like to include. I think it's easier for them to kind of analyze the details of the different concepts selected. So as far as listing overview, maybe I don't want to include it in this presentation. Maybe you do, because it is kind of nice and convenient just to see them all side by side. So I'm just using this as an example. If you want to remove the slide, you're just going to click on the little remove icon right here. And there you go, it's gone from the presentation. Now is probably a good time to get into how you would want to add that back or add any other additional slides. Say you did that on accident. Well, at the top here, you can go and click on the add page button, and it's going to drop this down, and you can say add from library or create new. We're going to add from library because that's one of the slides that's already part of the program. And the first thing that's going to come up are all the pages that are available for this type of report. So the one we just removed was listing overview. If you want to add it, you can go ahead and press the excuse me, plus symbol right here. It's going to add it back to the presentation. You can also view it by clicking on it right here prior to adding it, so you can see what it is. Oh, okay, that's what that is. Great. Maybe you want to add it. Press the add button. If you want to remove another page here, you can see it. Click on it, view it, remove it. So all that good stuff right here. You can see other pages that are available. This one didn't populate in our template, and it talks about purchase costs. So this is a template you can use to put in some other closing costs and or purchase costs that might be part of the transaction. Use that slide when needed. So that's all the slides specifically for this type of report, which is a CMA. You can go down here to the other parts of the library and click on, well, here you're going to see first any pages you've created, which are custom pages. We'll get into that in another tutorial. And then below that, you're going to see brokerage pages. Click on that, and you're going to see a ton of pages that you can add to your presentation based upon what you want to convey to your client. One of the areas, one of these folders that I really like to go and look at and check out and oftentimes include in my presentations are the About Windermere folder. So here you're going to have all your, Windermere branding stuff. And it's going to talk about, what Windermere brings to the table as a brokerage. So these are all really cool to include. Click on any one of them and it's going to show you what it looks like. For my computer, for some reason, the aspect ratio is slightly different. It doesn't appear on this way, and when you actually send the presentation, it's not cut off like this. And I've tested it. So for some reason, it shows like that on mine, but when it's in the presentation, it's going to show fine. For some reason, you want to see the print view, you can see actually how it's going to look when it's printed, and this is more likely how it's going to look in the presentation as well. So commitment to community, very cool. Windermere gives back, Windermere Foundation. Maybe my clients are really into that sort of stuff and I want to include that in my presentation. So I'll go over here and press the add button. Now it's going to be in my presentation. Setting the standard. Let's see what this one's all about. Oh, okay. We're, that full service #1 brokerage on the island type of vibe. So this talks about that. We're going to want to include that in our presentation possibly. Go ahead and hit add up here in the upper right. Cool. Now we added 2 more slides. If you want to go back to the main section of brokerage pages, you can navigate here at the top, just go back to the whole section. Then you can go check out any of these other folders. So another good area to look is within the seller sheets and the buyer sheets. Very specific to, if your client's a buyer or seller, a lot of good PDFs you may want to include in your presentation there as well. So let's get back to your main area where we're going to now organize the presentation how we want it. You can click on this down arrow and go back to your main presentation. And now you can see here that whatever page I had selected, when I add a new slide, it's actually going to add it directly below that page. So at the time I added those pages, I was on side-by-side comparisons. So it actually added them right below it, commitment to community, setting the standard. Well, I'm going to actually put them right below my agent profile so that we kind of get into the branding and, Windermere related slides prior to the actual CMA. And like I said, you can arrange it however you want just by dragging and dropping any of the slides. So let's go through the next couple ones. We got status comparison. Here's another slide where it's easy to look at the different specs of the comps you selected based upon their status. So sold, active, other. I do like to include this slide in my CMA presentation. Down here, you're going to see listing averages. What's cool about this one is you can turn any of these on and off. So it has the status up here of the comps. You can unselect other, unselect sold, and then you just have the averages of the active listings you've selected for your comps. Kind of cool. You'll see low, average, medium, and high pricing, and then you'll see, you know, all of the basic stats right here, the averages. Next slide, days on price versus days on market. Very cool. You can see a trend here that's actually going upwards, which is actually kind of counterintuitive. So you don't always want to include this in your presentation. In fact, in this instance, with what I've selected, probably don't want it, because the general tendency actually is the more time on market, the lower the price you're going to be getting. So a lot of times you're going to see a different type of trend than this. So it's a little bit misleading, and it really depends on the comps that you're selecting. So in this instance, I'm not going to be in this presentation. So I'll go ahead and press the little X remove button. Price versus size, another graph. And again, you can choose to include it or not. This one talks about, you know, more square feet and its relationship to the the listing and or sold price of the comps you've selected. So typically it tends to be an upwards trend if the location has a larger square feet, and that's what you're seeing here. So let's just keep it in the presentation. This one's kind of interesting. This is the Zestimate, or I think it's called the automated home valuation algorithm. Kind of interesting. You know, if you want to, a lot of clients may be looking up information by themselves, so they may already know this information. So to include it in your listing, and it shows out of the listings I've selected how accurate the Zestimate has been. And in this case, out of the comps I've selected, it was actually, the Zestimate tended to be 30% under what is actually listed for or sold for, or actually, I mean, just the sold price on this one. So it's kind of interesting. Last slide is your pricing analysis. So that's all the information you entered here at the top when you were on the estimate portion, when we were going through the wizard to kind of create your presentation. If you don't like how it looks here, each one of these slides actually has a little icon here. If it can be edited, you can select the little pen here and you can change options about it. So maybe I don't want to show the trend line on this slide. I can just turn that off if I prefer. That's good to know. Each one, you can go check out the settings. The settings are different for each slide. So on the estimate comparison, see, got rid of the line. Now let's go back to the estimate comparison. See what options are there. Oh, no options on that one. That's unfortunate. Pricing analysis. Oh, we got some options here. Let's check this out. Do I want the property photo to show? Yeah, I do. Do I want pricing stats? Maybe I don't want pricing stats. Maybe I just want my analysis. So let's turn that off, see what happens. Now that I've turned off pricing stats, it's not going to have average price based on, you know, the listings and average price based on square feet. So now it's just going to have what I put in for my analysis. At the bottom, last slide, net proceeds. Now, if you're not doing this as part of your presentation, you can just exit out. I didn't put any information. This is not where I put my net proceeds. Maybe I'm doing that after I've created the CMA and we've discussed listing and the listing price and signed documentation. So I'll just keep that out of this particular presentation. Next, you're going to want to send it. So you can send it. Well, you can view it first, which is, you know, I would recommend doing. You can view it either as the web presentation, which is interactive, or the static print version of the presentation. I actually like to look at both just to kind of make sure it's looking how I want it to. And I recommend doing this. So you can look through every single slide and then go back and make adjustments based upon how you want the presentation to look. Let's check out the PDF static print version real quick as well. Cool. And there we are, our presentation. Fabulous. Now that you've checked it out and make sure that it is how you want it to be, you can go ahead and press the send icon right up here. By pressing that, it's going to bring up your email options, and you can send as the live web-based presentation and as a PDF, the static one. I do like to send both. The live presentation I feel is better because it's very interactive. You can go check out all of the details of the comps you've selected, but PDF is nice in case you want to print it out and view it that way. So you're going to put in who you want it to go to, email address, subject, a greeting, and then your message. You can send a copy to yourself just to see how it comes out. I recommend that as well. And then go ahead and click send. So that's the basics of creating your seller CMA. Hopefully this was all the information you needed to accomplish that goal. If you guys have any questions, reach out to me directly, email, text, call. And if you want to, you can leave a comment below the video with any questions as well. I hope this was informative and helpful. I'm going to be making more tutorials on Present. So look forward to those, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye.